Good morning. Welcome. Today we're going to work on our chainsaw. We have a Husqvarna 365 Special. A couple issues with it. It's had a pretty hard life for what we would call a homeowner saw. It's never been in the woods professionally. I ran it over with an excavator years ago and rebuilt it. I bought a used pull cord off eBay, and when it's cold out it doesn't like to retract. I'm going to assume it's full of gunk in there, so we're going to go ahead and open that up, try to get the pull cord working like it's supposed to work. And then the other issue we're having is this saw actually now will start and immediately die, almost like it's getting no fuel. Sounds like it's something to do with the fuel line. We're going to go ahead and look into that as well this weekend. So hold on, we're going to crack into this and bring you along and see if we can fix this pull cord. So we're going to crack open these 4 regular screws. And in our case, all 4 screws are the same length, so we're not going to worry about keeping them sorted out. We're going to go ahead and do some cleaning in here before we put it back together, but we're going to set that out of the way. And we're going to check into what's going on here. I believe we might have a couple issues. I believe the rope may be a little too large, but I also feel like that it's just really gunked up. You can almost see it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this all apart, clean it all up, and put a new pull rope in it. Okay, so we've got a couple things I can see going on. The knot down in here is really digging into the washer. You can see how the washer, see if I can hold you still. See how the washer is shiny all the way around. That knot's digging into that. I believe the rope is a little too big. It's starting to bind up in here, and it's really dirty. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to cut the rope, release the tension, we're going to take it all apart and clean it all up. So first thing we'll do is actually just pull that out a little bit. We'll hold tension on it here while we cut the rope. And then we're going to carefully release the tension like that. And then we're going to go ahead and take this Allen screw out of the center. Now you'll see how cruddy it is down inside here. I believe that's part of the problem, and how cruddy it is in there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this all cleaned up. We're going to change the rope while we're at it, and see if we can't make this work a little bit more reliable. Now this out here doesn't have anything to do with the pull cord itself, but while we're in here we're going to go ahead and clean it up the best we can. Make sure these fins are all opened up. You'll see how these fins right here are, you know, they're starting to be blocked, and the saw draws its air in through here for cooling, so we don't want those blocked off. We're going to go ahead and get the some carburetor cleaner to clean out in here. We're going to get the air hose hooked up, so we'll be right back. Alright, so we're back with our carburetor cleaner. We're going to go ahead and get a drain pan up here so that we don't make a huge mess. Zoom you out just a little bit. Alright, so now I'm going to wash this all out. And with brake clean, I find, hence we're using brake clean here, I find if you wet it down once a little bit and then let it set and then come back and hose it, it really loosens everything up. And you can get in there for a little paintbrush too if you had one. If you had a parts washer, this would be a great place to use that. And if you're blow nozzle, watch your eyes when you do this. So we're just going to get in here, we're going to pick some of this stuff the best we can. It hasn't got to be spotless, you know, this is, at this point we're really just making it look good more than anything. All the air vents are open. But we're going to go ahead and stick with it anyways because we're just about there. Wash it off one more time real good. Wash off the outside a little bit. Then we're going to blow it off real good. Alright, so that's pretty clean. So we're pretty good to go on that. The other thing that we found had a lot of nastiness in it was inside here. And I'm not sure it makes much difference inside there, but I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that spring out carefully and we're going to clean this all out and put it back together. So let me grab a pair of needle nose, I'll be right back. Now the spring sits over a pin right up in there. So we're just going to grab it carefully right there. We're going to pull it out like that. Now there's a spring. We're going to go ahead and we're going to clean it all up. We're going to wash that off. And that's probably close enough. We could get in there, we could spend a lot of time really cleaning it, but I think we're just looking to get the bulk of the stuff off the spring. So we're going to set that aside, and then we're going to tackle this. So this has a couple points that we have to look at. This here sort of rides against the orange case at times. Inside here rides on that bushing that we'll show you in a minute. And then this flat spot right here rides against the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and grab another piece of paper. And we're going to go ahead and clean this out. So we're just going to pick it out with the screwdriver for now. Let me see how all that just comes right out of there. Okay, so we've got it pretty clean, so now we've got to wash it out. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wash this out pretty good, brake clean, clean it up, and we'll get ready to put this back together. Alright, gonna get rid of our drain pan. I'm gonna get everything ready here. So inside the pull cord cover, you'll see right there, there's a metal bushing that plastic rides on. So this piece goes down in there like that and rides in there. So what we want to do is we want to put just a dab of grease on that to keep it from binding. We're just gonna. So we're just gonna put a little dab of grease on our finger, like that. And we're gonna put a little on that bushing, just like that. Just enough to, you don't want much because I think it'll collect the sawdust, but just enough that it doesn't bind over time. So now what we gotta do is we gotta rewind our spring. You saw that come out with a little bit of gusto. It's not a big deal. It's gonna take us a little time to rewind it. So get it going the right way. We put the put that over the little catch like that, and then we're just going to basically wind it inside the pocket that it fits into, just like that. Some of the newer saws have this all made into a little cartridge, if you will. And you might have some success by hosing this out with gas or brake cleaner or something without taking this apart. I just felt like that there had to be a lot of crud down in there, and it was worth the effort. And it just kind of rolls in there, and I'm being careful to keep one finger on it all the time so it didn't pop out while I was doing that. So there it is, all rolled back in there, all ready to go. So now what we got to do is we got to get our string. We have some new pull cord string that we picked up at the hardware store. One of the common mistakes I see people make is they get the string way too big in diameter, and then it binds inside there. We're going to go ahead and fish this. So we're going to grab our torch. So with this pull cord string, if we melt the end of it for a cigarette lighter or a torch or something, it doesn't unravel, makes it easy to deal with. So we're going to get it hot like that. We're going to carefully take our fingers, make a point out of it like that. So now we're going to run that up into or down through. Figure out which way goes easier. Looks like that way is the easiest way. We're going to take our old pull cord right here. Let me zoom you out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing a little better. Alright, we're going to take our old pull cord and gauge a distance here. We're going to leave ourselves a little extra because we can cut it off outside. And we're going to cut that right about there. I'm going to pull that back in and tie the smallest of knots, because as you saw, that other cable was actually getting in the way of the washer. I think might have been most of the problem. Now we're going to pull that knot and use a screwdriver to get it down inside there like so. That. So you'll see that knot is tucked right down in there. Now we're going to go ahead and set this back down in there, and when we put this back down in, we sort of want to like fidget with it a little bit and get it to set into place, because there's a catch that it catches on. We don't want to force it. See, it dropped right in. So now we're going to put our washer back on. And our Allen screw, we're going to tighten that up and make sure we don't have any interference on our nut. So So basically this should tighten up fairly snug. Remember, it's just plastic, and that should cause no resistance to that, and it didn't. You see, that's just all well and good right there. We're going to put our cord out through our hole. And then we're going to get our pull handle ready. You'll see there's a knot down inside there. Some of them have a metal bar, some just have a knot. We're going to grab that knot with a pair of needle nose if we can. We yank that knot out, and then you'll see there's a hole all the way through the handle. So I'm going to fish our cord up through there. And remember, we left this about 6 inches long, so we're going to go ahead and put our knot down about right there. Pull it good and tight. Pull it down in the handle like that. And we'll cut the rest off later. So now what we have to do is we have to wind our spring up, because as we pull on this, we want it to retract back in, and you can see it's got no tension on it now. So we're going to pull that into that hole like that. Right there is a notch in the white piece, and that allows us to do this. I'm probably going to try 2 turns. Yeah, we're going to try that. Okay, not quite enough. So we're going to take another turn. And this is a little tricky to show on camera, but take another turn like that. Get our cord pulled tight. And basically you want it to, you don't have to pull it all the way back in nice and tight. But you don't want it so tight that it snaps back in and breaks the spring. So we're getting there. We just wind it. Looks like it's going to be about 5 turns total for us. So we pull that out past. You see, I couldn't get it right there. I didn't have enough space. If I put that in the notch, I try to turn it, my handle comes up tight. So to compensate for that, we're going to pull it out until that notch comes around again like that. And then we're going to go full turn, like that. Now, so we're pretty happy with that. It comes all the way out. So we're going to go ahead and cut this off now. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to actually pull it out past the knot. Cut it about like that. And then I'm going to fire up my torch again and peel over that end. That'll keep it from fraying and coming undone over time. So we're going to let that go back in. And there's our pull cord. So now what we're going to do is get all of our stuff out of the way. Alright, so we're back. Now what we're going to focus on is trying to clean this saw up a little bit, blow the trash out of the saw, and getting this cover back on here. So we're just going to use a little regular screwdriver, and we're just going to kind of pick away at it. And now we're going to put our pull cord back on. So the pull cord is a lot like the little piece inside. We want to get it roughly where it goes, like that. And sometimes you may have to pull on the pull cord to get it to seat. Don't force it down on. Make sure you pull on the pull cord to get it to seat down in there if you need to. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and swing you around and we're going to give that a try. Alright, so we're not going to actually start it because we're inside the building and we know we got to do some repair work to it. So we're going to show you the pull cord working. You see it goes back in pretty nice. You'll notice some will tend to hang like that. If they hang down like that, you may want to give them another half a turn, or another turn on the spring. But that one seems to go back in. It's about where we want it. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Any questions, leave them down below. Any comments, leave them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.